So I'm proud to deliver our executive budget and to say we're staying under the mandated tax cap again for the 11th straight year in a row. 11 years in a row. Think about that feat. And it's not possible without our budget department, our extraordinary men and women of the county, our commissioners. But I do want to say to Dave Riley and his team, thank you. To Dan Lynch, my deputy, thank you. To Jeff Jameson, to everyone in my office that works on this. It's no easy task. And if you look at our budget, it's $819 million. So we increased 8.3% from last year. But to the workers, I do want to say to the workers of this extraordinary county, thank you for being creative. Thank you for rolling up your sleeves through COVID and coming in and doing our job. But especially thank you to the partnership I've had with the Albany County Legislature. We agree to disagree on many occasions. We're not always on the same sheet of music, but we always find our way. And we do our job for the people that entrust us to take care of them, to deliver the services they expect, to increase them services, and to increase opportunities, hope for people of this community, and always think outside the box. And that's what I get. To our extraordinary controller, Sue Rizzo, working with you these last 4 years and helping us get where we want, doing audits that we've never done before, looking at things that we've never done before and correcting and righting the ship of a lot of things, working with internalizing in the departments. Again, we don't always agree to agree, but thank you for the job that you and your team do. And to Bruce Hilly, our clerk, and to my partner, Sheriff Apple, for the last 12 years of working with me, being creative and always helping us out when we need to. It takes everyone to come together to make an $819 million budget work. If you look at our budget keeps us under the tax levy the exact same as 2022 and 2023. So this will be the third year in a row we don't grow. Think about it. As we enhance an 8.3% increase in our budget, because everything goes up. Your cable bill doesn't go down, your heating bill doesn't go down, your gas bill doesn't go down, your rent doesn't go down, everything goes up. So looking at what we are achieving says a lot about the people here in government. So it keeps us at $99.7 million, the same it's been this year for the tax levy, the same it was last year. It's going to be the same for 2024. It's all good news affecting our tax rate. Right now, we're at $3.17 per thousand in assessed value. $284 per 1,000 assessed value is what we're dropping it down. I said $284. I stand corrected. $2.84. We're knocking it down. That's a 10.4% reduction. 10.4 from 2023 to 2024. And if you look at our tax rate was $3.95 per thousand back in 2014. We have, working with the Albany County Legislature and everyone else, knocked it down 28%. Again, Albany County will be one of the top 10 lowest taxes in the state of New York, and I take pride in that. Because you got to remember, thank you, but you have to remember that we have a population of 320,000, and you go around to, Rensselaer County's basically about 150, Schenectady's about 160, Saratoga's 200, and go out from there. Out of 62 counties to be in the bottom 10 for the last 12 years says a lot to the partnership with the Albany County Legislature, to all the elected officials, doing our job for the people and being creative. The other good news is we don't, no offense to you auditors, we don't always like it when Tom Athlete comes in the controller's office, but they do their job. Whether we agree, we don't agree. And if you look at, our stress level and to a stress level that we've been on, our fiscal stress score from the state controller in 2020 was 43.3%. So the higher it is, the more stress you have. The lower it is, the better off you are. We dropped to 3.3 in 2022. That's 40 points we dropped in fiscal stress. So again, achieving this is no easy task, but again, working and coming up with solutions. And I always like to tell the story. When I took over in 2012, we're borrowing $15 million to make payroll. We had a little over 20 million in our reserves, and we amortized state retirement to the tune of almost $40 million. We just paid all that off. We don't borrow money, and we have a surplus where we should, where we need to be, roughly over about $94 million, whereas the neighborhood we need to be in for our fund balance. So that's why you see our fiscal stress drop, saying we don't need to bond, or if we do bond, our interest rates the rates are going to be cheaper because we're fiscally more sound than anyone else. So not anyone else, but for us, where we've been at. So I do want to thank everyone here. Sales tax revenue is probably going to be about $326 million this year. We're predicting a 12% increase next year, up to $365 million. 12%. So, we're always cautious, conservative about that number. I spent 12 years in the legislature, and I can tell you there's times we over-predicted it, and it costs us. If we're under and we got extra money, there's always bills we don't plan on paying, whether it be something increased insurance-wise, or a program we were running increased, or we lost funding. It always comes out in the wash at the end of the year. So I do want to thank the legislature for that. Some of the bigger issues we have, and look, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am so proud of standing here as your county executive to say we're on fiscal solid ground. We built our foundation. We made the tough decisions. We have 19 unions in this county, thousands of workers that we have taken care of to get us through COVID, made the tough decisions, rolled up our sleeves, thought outside the box, and I will say this, our fiscal health is strong. We don't have issues. Minus what the state government continues to do to us. I can't control that. And one thing I'd like to point out, and we put it on the back of the book every year, our program's going down, the state going up. Unfunded mandates. 60% of this budget, 60% of this is unfunded mandated programs from the state of New York that say, hey, counties, you got to run this. You got to do this. And if I got into every program they just make us pay for, I'd be here for another hour. But I do want to say some of the issues we're faced with. Our FMAP funding, that was given to us from the federal government, from the Senate Assembly, from the Senate and Congress, that was written to go to counties. The governor last year decided to keep the money for the state. I want to thank the leadership of the Senate and the Assembly that put the money back in the budget and said, hey, look, counties, we get it. But they decided again to keep the money. That's an $8.2 million hit to the county taxpayers this year. $8.2 million. Think about that. That's just one program they took away, and that goes into the future. So I'm not going to get the money this year. I'm not going to get it next year, which would have increased and going forward. Some of the other stuff is like, when you go to stand trial, you have to be competent. And if you're not, then we have to pay for doctors, mental health doctors to make sure that person's competent to stand trial. State of New York paid for it forever. They stopped. Now the county's got to absorb that cost. These are just certain programs. I'm talking about mental health. We added on a mental health wing to our jail. We do that because the state used to run mental health institutions across the state of New York. They closed them and pushed it down to the county. It's great they come up with these programs, ideas, things that are game changers. Pay for it. That's what my answer is to the Senate and Assembly. Stop passing stuff and making us pay for it without us sitting at the table telling us what we think we need for our people. But moving on, I want to highlight some of the key elements of our budget, and I don't want to spend the time crying and pointing fingers. My position has been, as county executive, people need leadership, they need partnerships, and they need solutions. And I could sit here all day and point at the federal government, the state government, and cry every day. But at the end of the day, I have an obligation to the people of this county to deliver these services, be creative, and be good to the taxpayers, which we have done. We have addressed the climate change, renewable energy, economic development, mental health, addiction support, workforce development. All these things we've been hitting. We're expecting a county electrical passenger vehicle fleet by 2030. And I will say this, things we can't control. Supply and demand, which everyone's having an issue with, so that held us up and kept pushing that number down. Expanding our network of EV charging stations. Additionally, we are going to build a solar canopy on top of the MVP arena that will collect energy. Hopefully it looks a little bit nicer in that picture, but again, being creative and saying that we are not only going to dictate, because one of the things when I sat down with companies in Albany County, they go, hey, it's great that you, and then it's the first time I gave the credit, so I go, it's the legislature passing these laws. But joking around, I said, you know, they go, you want us to do all this renewable energy, but lead by example. And I said, I totally agree. We have to lead by example. We have to show companies you can do it. It's efficient. And guess what? It saves you money, which means to us, the taxpayers of Albany County make out. To the private companies, the shareholders make out, get more profit, and hopefully the workers, right? So it's a win-win situation. Doing our solar panel in Colony, which can generate enough electricity to feed 252 homes. To our DPW garages in Queens, Knox, Colony, which will have rooftop solar panels, geothermal, which our DPW building down in Queens, and I want to thank the legislature and everyone involved with this, is 100% off the grid, 100%, and not anyone can really say that. So I do want to thank Lisa Raimondo and everyone at DPW working with us to make this happen. It's going to be great. The workers are happy with, you know, the way we're building the facility. We're capturing rainwater. That's going to help us clean our equipment. You know, and I could just go on about these extraordinary projects. But again, thank you to the partnership with the legislature. To generate private investment in renewable energy, we're including $6 million in the Sustainable Technology and Green Act, Energy Act, the STAGE Act, to support green initiatives, which we have been doing, which has proven. We got Plug Power. We had a bigger announcement for Regeneron coming into Manans. We've been working on this quietly for over a year. Someone got ahead and leaked something to the paper, and here we are. We had to kind of release a little bit of it. But there's more to come with that project. That's just the tip of the iceberg of what we plan on doing with Regeneron and other companies we're working on. And I do want to thank the Albany County Legislature to create the Albany County Alliance. It's been working. The investment has been working. The money we're putting into this has been working. So I do want to thank all of them for that. You know, increasing money into the arts. We were just talking to the legislature about this. Other acts, you know, investing $3 million in one, $1 million into arts. Because if you look at COVID-19 as we came out of it, arts suffered. They did not get the recovery money they needed. We need our arts. We got so many beautiful places here in Albany County. I look forward to the partnership with Albany County Legislature with this to make sure that we sustain the arts going forward. We talked about this, and we've been doing it quietly on the side, and we're going to continue to do it. Another one of my top priorities for the budget is the management and of the opiate settlement funds that we fought Big Pharma. And one thing I take pride for, I remember when I first met the judge in Cleveland, Ohio, and he brought me into his chambers to talk to me. He's like, Dan, how the hell are you here? And I go, what do you mean, Judge? I go, I'm here because your court's in Cleveland, Ohio. And he goes, no, how are you sitting at this table? You're the smallest county. And we didn't give up. When everyone else said we couldn't change, we didn't give up. We fought. We fought hard. And we had a seat at the table. We're the smallest county in this nation that got a seat at the table and got a say on these settlements. I want to thank my team, Dan Lynch and everyone, you know, County Executives of America that we took this fight on with, which I'm president of, and we continue to move forward. But we received $3.4 million so far, with millions more on the way. We're creating a new position, the Opiate Settlement Fund Coordinator, to get these funds out to the community where they need to be. A community activist that understands what's working in this community, working with our departments to get the settlement money out to make sure we're doing good and not sitting on it, and it gets to where it can be to change things. This person will get the funding to critical programs and service for addiction and treatment, recovery and prevention, because again, that's what we do here, right? We got to make sure we're the backstop for all these different programs and not just belly aching about it, making sure that we get things done. And how we get things done is just by, again, rolling up our sleeves, working together, and just getting the job done. We're putting more funding in for law enforcement diversion program LEAD. We started this great program. We all signed on to it years ago. And it didn't work out the way we thought. But, we dusted it off, we hit it remodeled, we moved forward, and now you're seeing a whole new leads and investment from the national leads, investment from us, the Albany County Legislature. That's making a difference, because incarcerating people is not the answer. We have to stop throwing people in jail and throwing the key away. It doesn't work, people. I understand certain crimes, people should be in jail, and I'm not here to fight that. What I'm here to say is that we need to look at things differently, because it's not working. And for being this great country of 335 million Americans, and you put us up against China at 1.4 billion, Russia about 1.3, India at 1.6, we incarcerate more than they do. What's that say? We have to think outside the box and come up with different solutions. Again, putting money in a court, motor, expanding our mental health court, which 4 years ago, we finally got our mental health court up and running. It took us 5 years before that. We didn't give up. We kept fighting. We didn't say no. We didn't take no. Just like when we started domestic violence court, and I was involved with that years ago when I was in the ledge. We didn't say no. You have to think differently. You need a court system to deal with the mental health crisis. And to Dr. G and our health department, thank you so much. Thank you. We're also reopening the former Mercy House homeless shelter in collaboration with interfaith partners for the homeless, addressing that issue, because we can't forget about that. And it's important we're putting the money back into our shelters. Because I've said this, as we've talked about migrants, and I take pride in this. We're a county that has over 640 migrants here in the county of Albany. We're one of the smallest counties outside New York City, and we have the most at anyone, including Erie County, who has about 300, and they got a population of about 1 million. We're doing it. It's working. Is it perfect? No, nothing's going to be perfect, because there's no book that's ever been written on this. And we need to write that book, and we need to write that chapter, and we need to say, hey, this is how the rest of the state can handle this, the rest of the other 61 counties. This is how the nation can handle this. But again, not finger pointing. It's easy to point fingers. It's harder to come up with the solutions to fix it. And that's why we're going to invest back in the Marillac in our shelters. And again, our homelessness numbers are probably well over 2,000 any given day, 1,500, 2,000. We have over 736 women living in shelters that have either been sexually assaulted, or they've been addiction, or whatever their issue might be. With over 128 kids, don't hold me to that exactly, of kids living in our shelters under the age of 18. We need to address that. I know we got this other issue going on, but in government, we don't stop. We don't just look at one issue and go, hey, we're dealing with migrants, that's all we're dealing with. No, we're dealing with migrants, homeless issues, mental health issues, overdose issues. I could go on and on. Mental health issues, not just for adults, for children. You see all that going on across the board. So I always like to remind people, this isn't just the one topic we're dealing with. We're dealing with multiple topics. And that can't be done without having extraordinary staff. So again, I do want to thank my deputy, Dan Lynch, my whole team around me, and Jeff, and everyone that works in my office, and Dave, and working in a partnership with the Albany County Legislature, because it takes all of us to put our differences at the door to give people opportunity and hope, because that's what it's about. So I do also want to say, coming out of COVID, I made a decision. I said, we have to take care of the workers that took care of people that couldn't get out, that were isolated. And I did a deep dive, and I want to thank Jen Clement and HR. We're looking at our HR stuff, and I'm like, people are looking for hazardous duty pay. I will say this, Dan, don't fall out of your chair, probably gonna get bad. You got paid to do your job. You got paid. When I was a fireman, military, combat vet, I got paid to do. I knew what I signed up for. But I also realized, this is extraordinary times we went through. And I wanted to say to the workers, I want to take care of not just you, but to your loved ones that are in your life, and give back. Bless you. So we added vision, dental, hearing. I'm like, we have hearing. If you need hearing aids, we didn't cover it. And as you know, it was $3,000 to $5,000. I go, how do I have a worker that has to give services to people that can't hear and can't afford hearing aids or vision or glasses? We added all that for the workers at no cost. The only mistake I made was a rookie mistake. I should have waited till I started negotiating the 19 union contracts and brought it to the table. But I go, this is the right thing to do. Do you want a hazardous duty check, a one-shot deal, or do you want something that's going to benefit you and your family moving forward? And that's what we did, so thank you. We included a 3% increase for all non-union positions. We actually settled every contract. We're down to at 18 union contracts out of 19. It's not bad. We're almost hopefully getting close to the 19. And trying to take care of the workers, but also doing it in a way that we're responsible to the taxpayers of this county, but also taking care of our workers and letting them know we're here for you. So again, thank you to everyone involved with that. And coming up with innovative ways of taking care of our workers. We have done something no other county has done, and I take pride in this. In a lot of the programs, I like saying that, you know, I think I must have got the motto when I was in the Albany County Ledge, just doing things that no one else does. We added a daycare to our nursing home, a daycare, first of its kind in the state of New York. A daycare, center that's going to take care of the workers. We got people that want to work at our nursing home that say, do I get a slot? It's going to be up to 66 slots. Hopefully the ribbon cutting is going to get done very soon. We're near the end of the project. But actually subsidizing the workers that are sending kids there, meaning that we're going to flip most of the bill, right? Because if you look over the overturn at the nursing home and it costs me to vet somebody, to fingerprint them, to get them up to par, and they walk out the door or don't show up to work, it's actually going to be cheaper probably for us to do this and say to workers, yeah, we're going to take care of you. Slide and scale depending on how much they're making, obviously. But daycare is expensive, so we can talk about it and we can point fingers and complain, or you can come up to solutions with the problem. And I do want to say creatively to the team that's out there, the old director, the new director, to Sean Fallon, to Mark, to Larry, to everyone. Here's the best part. State of New York is going to sign off on it, and it's going to be paid through Medicaid. So we paid up front, as you know, like the nursing home, and they reimburse our bonding. And they're also going to help offset the cost of workers going there. Here's a model for the rest of the state. Talk to the governor about it. Here's a model that you can use for every county facility and private facility across the state with no excuse to add a wing on like this. But the most important thing to me about that are people that call it home, the residents up there. Now we'll see kids playing. We'll be able to do kids' plays there during the holidays. Kids will actually be able to walk through the nursing home, and people will see that, and they'll get smiles and brighten them up. And that's what it's about. And they'll just be sitting in the courtyard and hear a bunch of kids screaming, and well, I shouldn't say screaming, right? A bunch of kids being kids. That's going to bring life back into our nursing home, and actually, it's going to be good for the people that live there, and for the workers. So again, I want to thank everyone that was involved with that, and I want to thank everyone that has made things possible. I could go on forever and talk about the extraordinary programs that we have been running, the extraordinary things that we've been doing, but I'd be lying if I said I did it alone, because no one can do it alone. I did it with the extraordinary people around me and working with the legislature and elected officials, because we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, we have an obligation to the people of this county to continue to do extraordinary things, but continue to hold the line on raising taxes, continue to hold the line of passing the buck back down to the taxpayers. If the state of New York takes anything away from this, lead by example. Lead by example. Stop passing your bad decisions down to counties. Work with us, because we'll help you. Just look what we do in our county legislature, look what we do with our budgets every year, and take that as a model for the rest of the state of New York. Thank you to everyone that's here. I know it's a holiday. I apologize. It's not easy putting an $819 million budget together that's itemized, because not too many other counties, cities, or villages do that. It takes time, but I do want to say to Dave Riley and his team, thank you for the hours that you put in. Thank you, everybody.